Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the webinar entitled Digital Transformation Practical Tools 1, using task and process mining for process redesign with RPA. My name is Aimee Nardi, and I'm a Business Development Manager at Process-Era. Process-Era's delivery approach offers a connected view of enterprises to drive the relations among strategy, processes, and systems. We have been working with intelligent automation, process optimization, and artificial intelligence since 2008. Our mission is to design a better digital experience for customers, employees, thinking strategically, anticipating the future, and ensuring that decisions we make today will have a long-lasting value. For this, we have developed a strong method, which is empowered by world-leading tools. Our affiliated partners share this commitment, and together we provide specialist support that enables successful projects. Representing one of our most important partnerships here, it's Mr. Edward Qbitra, Business Development Manager at ABBYY. Edward is going to talk about the concepts of task and process mining, besides explaining about the interconnection benefits and functionalities in the process redesign of organizations. Also with us today is Mr. Haydar KOÇAK, CEO at Process-Era and co-founder of Qbitra. Haydar will enlighten us about the application of task and process mining in RPA projects. Before heading over to our guest, I would like to say our live chat is available and at your disposal for comments and questions about the topics, which are about to be discussed. At the end of the speeches, I will be addressing your questions to the speakers accordingly. Thanks, everyone who is watching us, and enjoy the webinar. Edward?
All right, then let me share my screen. Okay, so let's start with a quick overview of the key concepts when we are talking about automated process discovery and how it connects to digital transformation and intelligent automation. And when we are talking to our existing and potential clients when discussing their digital transformation journeys, so typically they face multiple challenges in realizing desired outcomes. And one of the major ones is really lacking of this healthy transformation pipeline, and it's really a major barrier. And the main reason for this kind of situation is that many enterprises still are using the manual process discovery techniques. And they don't really provide those necessary inputs to create the healthy transformation pipeline. This just means that also that approach should change. And the key drivers for this change is the need to keep the pace with evolving customer expectations and business solutions in this digital first world. As well, it's important to ensure this business continuity during disruptive events. And this is also that we have experienced in the last couple of years, by example. And the key for the companies is the ability to reimagine the processes, eliminate manual work, enhance the stakeholder experience, and focus on important business metrics as well. And this requires the use of wide spectrum of technologies. So, by example, it could be also RPA, machine learning, natural language processing, process and task mining as well, that integrates into this whole holistic ecosystem. And the key challenges that we see is usually that there are tools that can provide some of it, just it doesn't cover this whole spectrum of the analysis that is required. So, by example, the business intelligent tools, they will give you some metrics, some KPIs. Nevertheless, they don't have this understanding of the process itself. If we are talking about the business process management applications or RPA tools, in this case, we are talking more about the process modeling without looking into the actual process flows. Also, tools from the traditional process mining space, there are some limitations to that. And of course, this manual approach is especially for business environments that we see now, it's too slow and expensive. And this was the challenge as well historically, that the traditional tools only see part of this picture. And at ABBYY, we are changing that by combining these powerful content understanding capabilities that we have developed for decades, like intelligent document processing, natural language processing, with the process understanding techniques that starts with this rapid process discovery and easy to use analytics, also especially from the process perspective, as well as real-time monitoring that brings this operation awareness to the companies and also can trigger automated workflows based on the process events. And by using the predictive analytics capabilities, our customers also achieve those fast decision making capabilities while processes still are so in the transition. And all this allows us to deliver this 360 view of the process that connects people, it connects processes and content all together, and ensures this scale of this healthy transformation. And approach, it consists on the 4 key elements here. So the first one is the discovery of as-is process at scale. The key here is to use this fact-based approach that provides this detailed view of the as-is process at both micro and macro levels. So in this case, we are looking at on the activity level where we have this helicopter view. We can also can look at the more micro level where we look at each individual task as well. And those results then we can use to identify the bottlenecks and transformation opportunities within the process. Then also it's important to explore the process improvement options, such as, by example, task automation and process reengineering, and help enterprises to prioritize these process transformation initiatives based on their impact on overall process itself. And what I mean here is this critical importance to identify and evaluate all transformation opportunities before the implementation itself. And this kind of approach should enable as well to look beyond the cost saving. And what is important, focus more on this prioritization of use cases and help with the visibility into the impact on the business KPIs. So here we can talk about the cycle times, rework quality, also the customer and stakeholder experience, and top of the line growth as well. And all this is helping enterprises to align these transformation roadmaps with the key objectives. So this is important also to drive the senior leadership to buy in and to drive the action. And next important aspect is the ability also to monitor the implemented changes in the process to better understand the actual return of investment and the business impact of the changes or automation initiatives that we have implemented. And the monitoring part also helps to validate the related business cases in our transformation pipeline and drive those use case prioritization of the company and expansion to broader processes and business lines to really adapt this fact-based decision across the whole company. So how it really works. So in this case, what we are doing here, so first of all, we are looking at the data from the systems of record. So in this case, it could be an example of the code to cash, and this process can span across the multiple systems of record. And what we are looking here are those key elements that, first of all, we are looking at unique identifiers. So for specific cases, in this case, quote to cash, it will be the invoice numbers. We are looking at all the activities that happen all the way through the process. And also we're looking at the timestamps. And what it means, what it allows us to do, it allows us to fully reconstruct this for each individual case to reconstruct this whole process journey. This is end-to-end process across the multiple systems with the detail level also that we can determine as well from what angles we can look at the process, from what angles we want to analyze it. And based on this data and process mining algorithms, we can reconstruct the as-is process map. And it's important to mention this. In this case, we are not talking about we are not designing the process. It's automated process discovery and process representation as is. In this case, we are looking at the 100% of the events and 100% of the cases. And that already can give us a lot of insight. Nevertheless, when talking to our clients as well, sometimes we also hear that yes, there is a lot of value there. Nevertheless, the process mining by itself also it may leave some gaps in the details. Also to understand what is happening outside those core systems, what the employees, by example, actually is doing. And this is the reason also why we are introducing also the task mining, which fills those gaps when we are analyzing the variations in the process also on the user level as well. So we want to identify how users actually work and what is the potential also here for the automation. And our approach, we are doing this in 3 phases. So the first one is the recording of the activities that users are performing. So it means we are deploying recording agents. The important part here is that it supports large number of desktop users to really identify and surface those variations in the user interaction paths. So it helps us also determine how complex really is the process and is it a good or not candidate for automation itself. And the system also is built to protect the sensitive information. Through the OCR technologies that we are using, also we are able to remove the sensitive information and apply also different kind of redaction policy. So we can choose what we are recording, what applications we are leaving out. And the second phase is the analysis phase. So in this case, the system automatically identifies those patterns of user interactions by sampling those multiple task operations to detect the variations in those task execution. Also, it gives us really a deeper understanding of the process events by drilling into those tasks and ability to combine user interactions from desktop activities and also ABBYY timeline operational event logs as well. And because of that, you have this capability of zoom in, zoom out effect as well. So when you are looking first at the process on more this high level, you can also quickly zoom into the specific events also on a task level. So on the micro level in this case. And based on this data and analysis, what the ABBYY timeline can provide is to identify those best automation candidates. So where to start, where you will get the most of effect when you are automating some specific tasks. And we are looking at a couple of elements here. So first of all, it's the variation in the task itself. So it means that the more variation you have in your how users are executing the task, and how different are those variations. Also, it could be more difficult to automate. If we have a lot of execution paths that are very similar, so it's also a good candidate for automation. The second aspect, so we are looking at the distribution of the tasks itself as well. How frequently actually users are required to perform this kind of task. And if it's more frequent, then again, you will have a bigger impact on your automation. And of course, as always, from the task mining perspective, also important aspect is the security as well. So it just means as well that you have a lot of flexibility how you can customize also different settings for the user privacy. Also, from the perspective of deployment, we are not sending the captured data from the recordings into the cloud. It's all stored on premise, and also the users can determine what is actually captured and what will be analyzed. And as always, this responsible handling of the data is always the topic we need to consider. And also from experience, sometimes the clients forget to think about this data handling until the security department, legal, or HR brings it up. So it's important to keep that in mind. Therefore, also appropriate level of protection and clear plan already before the collection of data is necessary. And this is what we think it's important for the enterprises to think about as well. And in those cases, of course, we recommend also to anonymize the data. Also, the important aspect, besides the technology itself, we must be transparent and open with the data subject from the start about how data will be collected, how it will be used and shared. And our recommendation always is for organizations using our task mining software to notify employees about data process before the implementation. And there are key aspects that needs to be mentioned. By example, clearly stated the purpose. So it could be, in this case, it could be identification of automation potential and improvement of effectiveness, and not analysis of like a personal performance. Also, what will be the nature of data collection and processing, like automated analysis, and also what data do we collect and who will process, also things like the data retention. So those are all important elements here. And to summarize, in this section, we looked at this first of all classic process mining approach, where we capture process-related information from event logs generated by enterprise systems such as ERP systems, CRM, incident management systems, and other sources to discover and analyze as is process. So we can say we are looking at the process at this macro level. The second part is the desktop process mining, or task mining. So there we capture the process-related information through the user interface logs to provide this insight into the tasks and activities involved in the execution of the process. So here we are looking at the micro level. Now, in our case, we are talking about more like a hybrid approach to process intelligence, the ability to combine information from both event logs and user activities. For this holistic view into as-is process from macro and micro level. So this is about this general concept and approach. And now I can hand over to Haydar to talk about more like practical use cases and how it could be realized in real life scenarios.
Thank you very much, Edward, for the contribution. Mr. Haydar, we will proceed with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Just a moment. Sorry. Okay. So thank you for the presentation. So it's very valuable for us. So so the process era is mainly focusing on from process automation to digital experience. So we understand that that's very important. So taking one piece of the big picture, so it will not create a big value what the investor expected. That's very important. So as Aime said, so we are starting operation in 2008. So we are starting for the business process management. Then in the times goes on, so we are focusing on robotic process automation. Now we are focusing on the digital customer and employee experience. That's our standing point at the moment. So it's very important because so from the legacy systems to the BPM now contributing to digital transformation and the social media, so we can't handle in one process in one platform. So the social environment, so there are integrated systems. So the important part is so how we unified and create an experience. And the most important thing, so not just to automate the process, we have to create a satisfaction on both employee and the customer side part. So from this point, so so we are a consulting company and we have 42 employee, and our main mission is so designing a digital experience with artificial intelligence and robotic process automation with process intelligence. That's our main point. Okay, so what is the digital experience? So when we are talking about the digital experience, there are four main pillars. That means, so we have to consider the business part. We have to consider the operations and the most important things. So the platform, the software, the user are using is very critical because that's create an efficiency. And the other point is the technology part. So when we think about, so we are not in these pictures, so we are not just think about just the robotic process automation or process automation. So there are four main parts. So how we use, understand, and create an effective experience platform. That's our main questions. So, and that's our main goal in these webinars. So, so it is a very common information about that. The robotic process automation is very important part in our enterprise architectures. As everybody knows that, so the robotic process automation, so we can easily convert the repeating work or time consuming, or there is no, so the process not required for decision. So these kind of process easily we can convert this process and manage by RPA. So there are two parts is very important. So with RPA you can accelerate your process, and also you can create a saving about that. That's very important, and the performance is increased. And the most important, so for the both sides, not just only the company internal company process, but also in the customer and the supplier part. So you will create a value. That's the very important part. So understanding the task and process mining, I don't want to give the details because Eduardo thanks helping us about that. So, but the very important part, so we have to understand our processes. So that's the big challenge in most companies. They don't know which process are suitable for RPA or automation, and the other point is the manual controlling is a big problem. So we can manage. So we don't need to manage the issues occurred. So before any issues, so in a proactively, so we have to understand and manage these manage the processes. And the other point is the triggers is very important. So the systems help us and trigger. So if any issue or control point will be happening. So the benefits, so is clear. So increase accuracy, maintenance complex, that's important, and improves sales delivery, reducing costs. These are so you can find in each RP. So we don't want to repeat it, but the important point is, so what stop organization from implementing RPA? So that's very big questions because everybody wants to start RPA, but I know that most of them having having some the fall stories because some of them implementing in a very high costly way, but they are running one or two processes. So and ROI is not satisfied by the upper management. So that's very important point. So when we ask these questions, so the answer is clear. So 45 of companies, so has not success on RPA because the lack of clarity of business process. So that's very important point. And we in our process era, so we always encourage the customers to making as this process, discover their process, finding the bottlenecks, and that's very important point. So if we look the other points, 30% is they are saying that they are implementing or they are doing their automation by their existing platform. That's the important part. The other part is the decision maker does not understand the pictures, the values. That's very important point. And the other 23% is the cost saving. So the estimating cost saving is not satisfied by the investor. That's a very important part. So how we manage it? So we are creating a methodology. That's a very important diagram for us because we have very great experience on the many big companies. So we understand and we are observing their issues, their problems. So the discovery part is very important, and for the discovery part, so you see that there is the mining process. So the process mining, so it's very important because in your SAP, what is happening? So in which process? So it's time consuming. In which process are repeating or actions are repeating, or in your organization, what is so with the employee performance, how affects the process cycle time? That's important. So for with ABBYY timeline as a process era we are, so we for customer experience, so we are using these tools because we want to understand the big pictures. So, and how, in which actions or activity we should implement the RPA or automations. And the other point is that task mining is another tool for us. So this is typically we are using for digital experience platform. That's very important because we have to create a digital twin of our employees. For example, for logistic expert or accounting specialist or procurement or the sales representative. So we have to create a digital twin of this profile or the data entry specialist. So we have to, in the first part, we have to create a digital twin of this profile. So, and we have to know that for each job description, what is the digital platform they are using, how much of their time are using the SAP or ERPs, how much of their time they are using for office platforms. Or let's change our view. So if we observe that any employee spending his time mostly in email, for example. So he always or she always receiving an email and replying these emails. That's the business. So that means for us, so we can create a chatbot for them. So the RPA powered chatbot. So if the employee are using mostly email operations, so we try to replace this and this profile with a chatbot enabling RPA. So that means with task mining, we can easily design a digital assistant for each employee. That's very important. After that, so we will also check the unstructured source. That means the Excels or Words, procedures, policies, okay? So after that, after we understand the current process, the as is, so we will discuss about how we identify or prioritize the processes. So in that point, ABBYY timeline is help us because in the software we have variable reports. So we have simulation reports, we have bottleneck reports, we have path analysis. So with these reports, we easily identify in which process we will get most benefit. That's very important. So with this analysis, we also create a VCM diagram. So, and understand that, so if there is a time variation between the employees, so we will check that employee having a proper training from his or her onboarding process. So we will check that he or she has aware of the processes or business rule in her or she his domain, the process domain, I mean. And so after identify the problem and after setting some objective with the upper management, so we are studying this point, and we will creating an implementing plan, and after that, so we will start the design. So for this, we have some variables tools like soft experts, so the BPM tools. So in these tools, we are putting some KPIs, and we have creating a risk plan, and we are designing KRIs. So we have to put some numbering on the objectives. That means the KPIs and KRIs. And so the modeling are, so we are designed to be analysis, and after that, so we are integrate the process with RPA. At this point, still timeline is a very important part, because so with alerting, continuous alerting function, so the timeline can trigger RPA, so according to our design. And we have RPA tools. That's our big, so very close partnership we have, Qbitra. Qbitra is a very special tool, so I will explain the next slides. So the Qbitra is a mostly, we call is a digital experience platform. Okay, so Qbitra, I told you, so it's a digital experience platform. We designed this platform with the, not only as our goal, objective is not making a RPA product. We are mostly understand the process. We are analyzing the customer journey or employee journey, and we have 4 main products. First of all is a intelligent chatbot. We call this Qbitra bot. So with any kind of chatbot platform, even chat, WhatsApp, Telegram, WeChat, Slack, Teams, whatever it is. So the user or employee can request or can speak with our platform about what is the issues or what is the request from the companies. And in the second layers, we have enterprise integration platform. So Qflow, we called it Qbitra Hype. So that's very important part, because in this platform, we have tons of connectors with the popular brands. That means, so any request coming from the chatbot, for example, WhatsApp, so we can easily get some information from the SAP, even the documents, or asking some specific questions. So what is the total revenue of this month? So the Hype will ask the SAP and get this information. The other point is a automation integration platform. That's, so the popular brand name is a orchestration platform. So with this platform, so we can manage the RPs, not only just our RPs, but also the popular brand names in RPA vendors, we can automate. So that is very innovative part of our platform. So I want to sharing one journey about so more clear information about our platform. For example, so we have the customer, and in the customer, so in chatbot or any kind of platform, so the customer or client will ask, or in this scenario, applying a credit. Okay, so after that, so our chatbot platform reply this application. So giving some instruction according to the process design. Okay, so in WhatsApp, so the user easily upload the documents, and after the uploading documents, our Qbitra platforms automatically extract this information via, for example, ABBYY OCR. And after extracting this information, our platform, integration platform, with some web services from the banking legacy systems. So transform this information, updating the documents, and after that, so with customers, for example, client, so these documents are okay, or some validation process and dynamic communication with customers with WhatsApp, for example. So after validating approval from the customer, so the credit operation has started, and also for the employee part in the banking system. So the approval sent by, for example, Microsoft Teams for the credit applications. And so after approval from the manager in the banking part, so this confirmation, the credit approval will send to the customer, so so your credit application has rejected or approved. So this is the good part. But so you see that there is some A's from the ABBYY part. So ABBYY can, so if we put some rules, ABBYY control the processes, and also you can put some SLA terms. So this, after applying the credit card application, so we have to give a reply, or we have to send approvals to so validation operation with customers that should be in 2 hours, for example. If the process is longer than these 2 hours, the system automatically create a task for the employee part, or so or trigger the RPA if necessary, or controlling the process. That's very important. So, and also help creating a digital experience or customer experience, monitoring the process. So that's creating a discipline and reducing error, or so there is some regulators in the government part, so the following the compliance. So that's very important part. Okay, I think Aime will help me about the complete this presentation. He is better than me for explaining the RPA processes. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Haydar. Thank you very much. And thanks for the compliment, by the way. Normally, we can divide the RPA application in 3 phases. I will start sharing. I will share the presentation again. Okay, this one. So, as I was saying, the application phases of RPA can be divided in 3. The first is the initial phase. Then we have the large deployment phase and the full coverage phase. I will explain one by one with more detail further, starting by the initial phase. In this phase, when a company wants to implement RPA, they already have some processes in mind, that they know these processes are repetitive, they know it's robotic, and they know there is potential in this process. So with these benefits, there are the risks at the same time. So maybe these operations that are selected are not so easy as the IT team was expecting them to be. This is one problem. Another problem is about the bottlenecks downstream that can be created automating one part of the process. So let's suppose you are wanting to make this part of the process quicker, but because you did this, you accumulated so much bottlenecks down of this process. And instead of improving the performance of this process gets even worse. Another risk that you can be in the initial phase is regarding the return of investment, because sometimes you put effort to automate one process, but then you realize that the cost and the time of this process with the automation didn't change a lot. So you put effort, but you didn't get the return you were expecting to. So to overcome this kind of risks, the task and process mining are coming directly for this. So one of the things Edward and Mr. Haydar pointed very well already is about the discovering ability of task and process mining here, timeline, ABBYY timeline tool. So with this kind of tool, you can realize before the RPA implementation and with the RPA implementation, you can realize how the existing process logic will behave, or how is it behaving right now and how it should behave. So the RPA implementation team can prepare, can get all the knowledge and can get all the resources needed for this automation opportunity to be successful. Also, the timeline platform can identify the best candidates in terms of time and costs. So you will eliminate basically these risks. You can also build multiple scenarios for RPA. So you can test the scenarios and you can choose the one that is bringing the high return of the investment. Another feature and another benefit of using task and process mining within the RPA is that the task and process mining will continuously monitor the flow, and if something is going wrong in the flow, the IT systems will be alerted. So you have the IT team getting information from the tool so they can act over it and can solve the problem. At the same time, even the platform can trigger another RPA solution. So this can also come to fight the problem, the original problem in the operation. We have here one application example about the employee's digital experience. This is the use case of monthly payroll. This is normally very easy case to automate, easy, when you have the right tools to do it and when you know exactly what you are doing. Because in this case, most of the payroll process is rule-based. So you have a repetitive process with lots of data entry that can lead to mistakes. You type one number wrong or one character wrong, it can change the whole meaning. So it's highly repetitive and highly prone to mistakes. So with this, we can enter with task mining tool. This kind of tool will recognize the fields to be clicked and to be filled by the employee. And the Qbitra platform or the RPA platform can enter inside and perform this kind of tasks. And with this, you have the process mining monitoring, continuously monitoring, so you can improve this kind of operation. Furthermore, the access of your payroll can be done with the chatbot. Here there is a video where this case is being performed. So you have here on the right part of the screen, you have the chatbot via WhatsApp, but as Mr. Haydar said before, this kind of conversation, this kind of chatbot can be developed in any kind of social media or conversation tools you are using in the office. It doesn't matter. We put here WhatsApp because it's pretty common here in Turkey. Okay, so here on the right side, it's WhatsApp, the screen of WhatsApp, and on the left side, you will see the robot performing the duty. So basically, we have here the conversation going, and the employee is calling for Teresa. Teresa is the digital support specialist in human resources. So the employee is asking about the payroll. At the same time, the bot starts to run and it starts to prepare the payroll information. So all this kind of information, of course, the employee can do it. But to access the determined person or to reach the determined department, when you compare the performance of a robot and of a human to do this task, of course, the robot will make it much faster. So you can get your employees to work on high-value adding tasks. Meanwhile, the robot is performing this kind of duty. So you have seen here, the employee has received the PDF at the end of the video, and the operation is finished because the payroll was delivered. The second phase of the deployment of RPA inside the companies is the large deployment phase, as we say. So on this phase, all that common and, let's say, the obvious processes to be automated, they are already automated. So now you need to put a little bit more effort to automate more and to find other opportunities for this automation. So this phase brings risks as well. So the same risks basically you have on the first phase, you have here, but even harder. They will be, these risks will increase. So the idea is, if you have, for example, this process flow acceleration, it will be even harder here to form the bottlenecks and the process execution. This kind of process can be even more damaging when you are automating wrongly. Also, when you are trying to implement RPA in other kinds of processes, more complex processes, this will demand from you much more commitment. So the implementation phase will go longer, will take longer. So your return of investment might fall. And task and process mining will enter and will reduce these risks as well. So first of all, how these platforms are going to do this? Keeping the process models up to date at any time. So it doesn't matter, the robots are coming active, more and more robots are becoming active. The process flow is changing, but you can monitor this through the timeline platform. So we have some kind of sets, some kind of configurations and analysis. It's the before and after comparison and set-to-set comparison. So you can identify any logical process flow issue very early before it becomes the disaster. And you have the real-time monitoring of the process flow, and at the same time you can detect any issue and trigger RPA or even contact a human employee to make the remediation effort. As an application example, we have the customer digital experience case of the relation with suppliers. So when you are working, for example, in a manufacturing company and you are receiving parts of pieces from other companies, some of these pieces might come wrong, and all this relation that you have with your customers, you can monitor this relation as well with the process mining tool. So you can discover what are the bottlenecks of this process, and you can find the best opportunities for automation dealing with your customers. So imagine if in the previous example we were using the WhatsApp to talk with the robots inside the company to solve a problem inside the company. Now a customer can do the same. So a customer can report any kind of issue with a piece or with a part of manufacturing stuff to exactly fix this problem. So furthermore, the process mining tool will help you with this non-conformity, and it will increase the customer loyalty and speed up the remediation process. Here in the video, you have the Qbitra assistant exactly for this case, for the production case. So here the client is asking for the production. So the robot addressed to the production, that's called Andrew here in the example. He's asking, okay, how can I help you? You can see that before he was asking about the package even. So you can even trace the package and have this kind of information easily by the robot. So the client wants to make a non-conformity notification. Something is wrong with his order. So the robot is asking, okay, can you enter the number of the product? The client is replying, can you write down the supplier name? So who was the responsible for this? Okay, this is the name of the person. Can you write the name of the product? You can understand from here that all this information can be filled in a formulary, but the experience of filling a form and the experience of talking to someone on WhatsApp and reporting the problem is much different. So here the customer is making this kind of report on WhatsApp. He or she doesn't need to open another platform or try to contact several people until get the resolution of the problem. So you can get directly to the person, and the robot can do even more, or trigger the solution by the robot itself, or can trigger a human employee to solve this kind of situation. Oops. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay. So here we arrived at the third stage, that is the full coverage phase. Here, all the easiest and not so much complex processes are already automated. So the organization reaches a point that all the maximum gains in efficiency and performance, the organization is getting this already. So the risks of this phase is, if there is any disruption on the process flow, this can cause a dramatic effect for the company, and it can cause a very bad customer experience. So task and process mining will reduce these risks. How? Monitoring the processes, detecting any violations of thresholds, deadlines, protocols, SLAs, So the platform is ready to do that, and to notify a person in case any of these issues is reported. So notify a person or trigger a robot to remediate these actions immediately. Also, the ABBYY Timeline platform has the forecast module, as Edward explained very well. So this forecast module, you can understand a very specific scenario in the future. So this can trigger the remediation process by robots or humans even before the action is missing the deadline or even before the violation is happening. Some application of these cases is in the financial side. We have here some examples, both by employees and by the customer experience and by the customer journey. So thinking about the employee side and its case on the finance, many employees request advance for several reasons, but sometimes they need to reach several platforms and several departments for the approval of this advance. So what the task and process mining are doing, they are identifying how to get this task done so it can be performed by Qbitra. At the same time, in the customer side, maybe the platform, the ABBYY platform, is identifying the probability of any specific outcome to happen. The example here is, you have this case or you have this client, and it's most likely that this mortgage will be denied. Or thinking about a credit card appliance. For example, this client is asking for more credit, but in this situation, the timeline tool is pointing out this client and this credit is most likely not to be approved. So the client can know directly about this situation, or an employee can be notified, for example. Also, if you are applying for some process and this process is already missing actually some deadline or is already breaking some kind of protocol, the ABBYY Timeline platform can catch this at the same time that this is happening and can trigger the robot for instantaneously remediation of this issue, or as well triggering the human to perform this kind of action. So this is our last case, and here in the example, the employee is asking for the financial department. So the digital support specialist of the finance unit is replying, and the employee is requesting an advance payment. So it's the same situation as before. We have some kind of requisites that need to be filled, and the employee is giving this to the system or giving this to the company in a much more humanized way. It's kind of dichotomic because you are talking to a robot, but comparing this kind of approach in a large enterprise with, for example, you need to open the system and fill this kind of form, and after send to this department to be approved and wait for other department to approve. So here the robot is performing everything for you in a very, very fast way. So all these kind of issues the robots can handle, and if it's pre-configured for doing so, it can even approve or deny these advance payments, or it can even transfer this kind of money for the employee, because there are some rules that the robot is following. So basically, in the end of the situation, the employee has its file filled with the advanced requirements. So there are some different use cases for healthcare, for insurance. For example, in healthcare, you have the ability for the robots to track down patient records from various sources. The robots can simplify the appointment schedule, as well as speed up the account settlements, streamline claims management, implement discharge instructions, record audit procedures, improve the healthcare cycle as general. For insurance, some examples of the use of RPA is the data entry into key systems, the download of policyholder data from multiple sources, read and scan data, data compilation from multiple systems, etc., etc. As well as for communications and financial institutions, these sectors have reported much robotic operations. So all these topics are the easiest ones for the RPA and for Qbitra to operate especially when they are together with timeline, with task and the process mining capability. So at the end, why should we use task and process mining for process redesign with RPA? First of all, to accelerate process discovery. Second, to reduce RPA deployment costs. To avoid automating broken processes. Uncover new automation opportunities. To quantify performance post-implementation. To target processes with the best return on time and cost. And to optimize so that robots can do more and also humans can do more. It's very important. I'd like to thank you again, Mr. Haydar, and also Edward. And thanks to everyone who is watching us. So wait for more process era webinars with other digital transformation topics.
Thank you for everyone.